The speech last night, and let's be clear, I have my issues with Joe Biden. In terms of, the proposals that he attempted to pass, I thought those were pretty good. I thought a $5 trillion, $3.5 trillion, a little bit less so in the $1.75 trillion so-called Build Back Better bill had good things in it. And a lot of his failures were, in my estimation, strategic and tactical and whatnot. The speech last night was not for me. I suspect not for anyone in this room. In fact, I would probably argue not for anybody listening to this show or watching this show. The speech was for the 16% of those people who supported Joe Biden when he came into office and gave him a favorability rating and no longer give him a favorability rating. Maybe that includes some people in this audience as well.
That's part of the inflation focus, right? I mean, that was why that was some of the emphasis, I would say. I
think that was also why there were no masks. And at that
learn to live with COVID.
Learn to live with COVID. Now, and we'll get more into this with Dayan, but if I am Joe Biden's advisors who were ecstatic at the idea of COVID starting during the key part of the primary and the general election in 2020, when Joe Biden wouldn't have to hit the campaign trail, I don't think that's a controversial point. I think I would imagine strictly as a political matter, the Biden administration saw it as an opportunity to talk about Ukraine and Russia. Because to some extent, I think Joe Biden, frankly, and, I think people know my feelings in terms of like the implications of NATO, but these are all decisions that were made literally, in some instances, decades ago. But in terms of like the way that the Biden administration has reacted up to now about the Russian invasion of Ukraine, I think they've done quite a good job, because they have completely tamped out any notion of no-fly zones or anything that would escalate in a military fashion. There's a sense that they're still giving, to the extent that they can, Putin an off-ramp, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that helped. And so Ukraine ended up being about half the speech.
Yeah.
And the rest was, plans and platitudes that I don't think are going to necessarily take place. We're going to talk to David Dayan about it. But overall, if you measure these speeches in the way that I think a lot of people who don't really follow politics measure them, you look at how many times the Republicans had to stand up and applaud, and how many times, particularly Susan Collins, had to stand up and applaud. And they did. They had to many times, many more times probably than we've seen, certainly over the Obama years. And in that sense, I think it was a victory for Biden. And the numbers, I don't have the polling right in front of me, but the numbers apparently were somewhere in the neighborhood of like 60 to 70%. I think CBS had on its polling on how people did.
Yeah. On how Biden did?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm trying to find it right now too. You have it?
You want to put it up?
Yeah, let's put that up. Well, we'll save it for Dan. But here is one of the things that Biden said that was really uncontroversial. And what's fascinating is the American public does not seem to be aware of what the job numbers are in this country. They don't seem to have a clue about it. And polling has shown this. And in fact, I had that poll. Do you have that poll? Pull up that graph.
The CBS.
No, the one that the one from Axios. This is the This is the voters' view on U.S. job gains. Do you think the country is experiencing more job growth than usual? 19%. About the same, 33%. More job losses, 35%. And then they ask, which of the following statements do you think is most accurate? More jobs created last year, 28%. More jobs lost last year, 37%. Not sure. Last year was the highest number of jobs created in the history of the country. Here is Sean Hannity responding to Joe Biden making that claim.
And tonight, if the world was looking for any American leadership, they didn't get it from Joe Biden. This speech defined America last, not America first. And by the way, Joe lied over and over and over again. We can start with jobs. Take a look.
That's one of the first things I did as president was fight to pass the American Rescue Plan because people were hurting. We needed to act, and we did. It worked. We created jobs, lots of jobs. In fact, our economy created over 6.5 million new jobs just last year. More jobs in 1 year than ever before in the history of the United States of America.
That is a flat-out lie.
All right, pause it. Now, first off, remember that he's saying more jobs than created in any single year in America. 6.3, I think he said, million. Hannity, who wants to prove that he was lying, shows that in February 2020, the jobs report said there were 152 million jobs, more or less. Mm-hmm. And to prove that there wasn't 6.3 jobs created last year, he showed that in January 2022, there was actually 3 million less jobs. What he doesn't tell you is that somewhere in 2020, we lost 9 million jobs.
What happened in 2020?
Well, I'll tell you what happened not in February of 2020, not COVID.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what happened the next month. But so Hannity cannot deal with it, and he just quickly blows through this. But if you really want to know the truth about jobs, you got to fact check it with a reliable news organization.
The paper of record.
The paper of record is a great way to do it. Let's see what the New York Times says. They did a fact check on this. They can tell you right now.
I would love to never hear the words fact check ever again in my life, but here we are. Every paper has to do it now.
And here it is, the fact check. Biden's State of the Union, this comes from the New York Times Twitter. Our economy created over 6.5 million new jobs last year, more jobs created in 1 year than ever before in the history of America. That is only partially true, according to the New York Times. Oh. Why?
A light green, a mint, if you will.
Yes, because Biden is correct on the numbers. However, the government only started collecting this data in 1939. So...
But it would, I mean... it's only...
The population was also a lot smaller.
That's what I was about to say. Like, there's a way that there it has to be true, given like the population growth, but only partially. But
there's two responses to that.
Yeah.
One is you got to be effing kidding me. Biden should have said more jobs created in 1 year in America before the history and including the history of all record keeping in America is the way he should have said it in his speech to be totally true. Yeah. Or you could also take Emma's tact, which is you had 100 million people in this country around that time. Maybe it was like 120 by 1939, maybe a little, 100.
Yeah, but before that, there was still child labor a little bit more rampant. So
that's right.
You could include that.
That's right. He should have said adults.
Be more specific if you want to pass the New York Times fact check, Joe Biden.
If you were working on a farm, did you have a job? We could never know. So there it is. But and it's fascinating. What we've had is a series of months where the job numbers have been underreported from the Bureau of Labor Statistics run by a Republican. I'm sure that is completely coincidental. But even ADP and Moody's, which does the private thing, and they come out today, You're going to see February's job numbers come out. I think it's Friday from the BLS. ADP is saying that they revised their numbers by a swing of 800,000. They thought we had lost 300,000 in January. In January, but it was actually 500,000 gained according to them. So there's a lot of jobs, but there's issues of inflation. We will talk to David Dane about that issue and more